Hello everybody! In this video I will repair a Singer sewing machine of 1934. Then I will prepare a stencil for mimeographs with this Singer. After this I will use this French Limographe mimeograph from 1895 and I will make the print with the stencil I prepared before. Let's start. My grandmother was a dressmaker, and actually in my house there are many old sewing machines. These are two Singer sewing machines. This one is from 1934. The serial number is here. There is a nice golden logo here. This model with a nice golden decoration is from 1929. If you have a Singer sewing machine and you want to date it, I leave a link in the comments. These are sewing machines from the end of the 1800s, dedicated to an Italian queen, Margherita. She was much loved by the common people and she remained in office as queen from 1878 to 1926. I don't know if my grandmother used all of these sewing machines or if they are in my house for some other reason. I'm sure that she used at least one of these because I saw her working on it. There are also many drawings of dresses made by my grandmother. Her name was Georgina, but I called her with the name Bianca. Also when she wrote to her husband while he served in the military in 1919 after First World War, she signed the letters with the name Bianca. I don't know why. I never used a sewing machine, but I would like to use it to make a stencil for the mimeograph and print some copies with it. A stencil is a sheet of waxed paper. It means that it's impermeable to the ink. It's used for doing the copies with the mimeographs. Like this Limograph from 1895. Usually you use a pen like this to prepare the stencils. The pointed tip of the pen removes the wax covering of the paper, so the ink passes through the wax covering and pours on the blank paper sheet under it. This system has been widely used in the offices to do copies for around a century. I will not use a pen to prepare a stencil, but with this sewing machine I will do some little holes on the stencil so that the ink will pass through these holes I made on the stencil and will deposit on the copy. First of all, I have to repair the sewing machine. It's at least 40 years that it isn't being used and has many problems. The tie rod of the pedal that moves the mechanisms of the machine is broken. It's a strip of leather and too many times has passed, it's broken. It's also very hard to move and first of all I think it's necessary some cleaning and oiling the moving parts. It seems there is nothing broken, so I think some oil will do the work. It seems quite simple inside. There is a pedal that moves the cord and moves this mechanism inside. Okay, it moves very good now. The tie rod of the pedal is broken and must be replaced with a leather strap. There are some made specifically for this purpose. Then I have to pass the string over the wheel and through the sewing machine. I spare you the whole process, but it was long. I dropped the string several times and I had to start over several times. But I finally get it done. To join the two parts of the string there is a little hook. I made an hole on the string and I insert the hook there. Now, when I turn the wheel, also the mechanism moves. And when I move the pedal, also the mechanism of the needle moves. Isn't it wonderful? On the time, the dressmakers moved the mechanism with the feet, so they had the ends free to move the cloth. Some silicone spray on the metal parts to make them shiny, and some red oil on the wooden parts. I like the red oil on the old dark wood. Okay, it's seem new. My grandmother would be happy. I will try to reproduce this drawing on the stencil, then I will print it with the mimeograph. Since it has to be stable, I block it with some tape. The stencil is transparent. I will see through it and I will follow the lines with the sewing machine. The needle will perforate the waxed paper, so generating the stencil I will use to print the copy. Let's start. When I press the pedal with the foot, the needle goes up and down, you see? There is a mechanism advancing the paper. It's very useful, so I don't have to move the paper and the holes are at a fixed distance. It's not easy. My grandmother was very good at this. I admire her. I remember when I was a child I played in her house while she worked at the sewing machine. But maybe I have some of his genes and I will be good at sewing. We will find out it. It's not so difficult. When I stop the pedal, also the needle and the paper stop moving, so I can check the position. The idea of using a needle to perforate the stencil is originally attributed to Thomas Edison. In 1876, Edison patented the electric pen and duplicating press. The electric pen perforated the stencil, likewise the needle of the sewing machine, thus creating the stencil. A flatbed mimeograph similar to the Limograph was used later to produce copies. After this, the ABD company designed its own electric pen and collaborated with Edison, who held the patents for this technology. ABD produced many mimeographs in the following years till 1990s. Okay, it's finished. It was long, but not as difficult as I thought. Do you see that the stencil has these holes? Here is where the ink will go through, or at least I hope so. Now I will try to print my drawing with a mimeograph. I will use this Limograph from 1895. We could say it's a printer from 130 years ago. Imagine a digital printer, but not digital, without toner, without electricity, and that is not a printer. So you have this Limograph. It's from France. There is this printing frame, the ink plate, and the ink roller. If you want to know more about how it works, there is the link to the video in the comments. To print the copies, I have to attack the stencil I made here on the frame with some tape. so it stays still. It's very important that the stencil doesn't move. I put some ink here on the plate. It's ink specific for mimeographs. It's thicker than normal ink. Now it's winter and it's cold. It's not the better situation to use the ink. I place a blank paper here under the frame. I ink the roller on the inking plate. Now I pass the roller on the frame. The ink will pass through the polyester mesh, through the holes I made on the stencil, and it will deposit on the blank paper, so creating the drawing. Another blank paper, inking again the frame. Let's try again. And here the second copy. This system was widely used in the past in schools, churches, associations, restaurants, because it was simple, fast and cheap. With a single stencil you could print some hundreds of copies without almost any particular skill. You should consider that before the invention of this copying system, if you wanted to print something, you had to go to a typography. But maybe he didn't like you or your ideas, or the government didn't appreciate this. So it was the typographer who had the freedom to print whatever he wanted, not you. With the mimeograph, this changed. Now everyone had the freedom to spread its ideas, whether they were right or wrong. In fact, the mimeograph was often used to distribute clandestine pamphlets, since it was impossible to trace who had printed it. Here are the copies. I think the result is satisfactory in most of the copies, considering that the device used for preparing it has around 100 years, and probably it's the first time they are used after half a century. The edges are inked. I cut them out with this cutter. Here are the final copies. It's the first time I try to do this. I didn't know what the outcome would be. It was an experiment, but it was fun. As a child, I watched my grandmother use the sewing machine. I never thought I would use it one day. So we have seen a creative use of a sewing machine. If you have one, you only have to find a mimeograph and you can become an artist. And after printing your work, you can put it in a frame and stick it on the wall.